I have a 10-year-old son. Many times I've thought of taking him out of school and simply educating him at home. I can afford the best tutors. I have a fine home library. I believe I could so arrange things that he could get a much better education and far less time at home than he could by going to school, even though he attends what's considered to be an excellent private school. But I've realized that to take a child out of the educational establishment in the United States is to immediately rouse a dragon. The educational establishment zealously protects its mandate and monopoly. Indications that you might be able to do a better job simply because you could bring more concentration and more personalized teaching to bear fall on deaf ears. The system wants its children. Billions upon billions of dollars depend upon it. Millions of jobs, in fact, the largest industry in the country. Well, there's a book on radical views of compulsory schooling edited by William F. Rickenbacker entitled The 12-Year Sentence. It's a major attack upon compulsion in education by a group of discerning scholars and attorneys. Compulsory schooling is a relatively recent idea, but it is now embedded in the laws of all the states where it causes endless mischief. It's a boon to educationists, but grief to dissenters and taxpayers, and it poses some interesting questions. For example, what do you do if you're an Amishman and believe that most education offends God? What do you do if you're a Christian Scientist and the public schools require your child to be vaccinated before he can attend classes? What do you do if you believe in the biblical version of the creation and your children are taught Darwinian ideas? What do you do if you're a modern secularist and your school insists on teaching the biblical version of the creation? What do you do if your school is mediocre and you wish to teach your gifted child at home? What do you do if your school is infested with dope addicts, hoodlums, and depraved youngsters, but you can't afford to send your child to a good private school? What do you do if your educational bureaucracy forces ever-increasing taxes and ever-inferior schooling on you? What do you do if you desire to withdraw your child from public school one day a week for religious instruction? Well, this book, The 12-Year Sentence, is about just such problems, and it tells what the courts and educationists did to just such dissenting people who were caught in the coils of truancy law. I know I've thought a great deal about compulsory education. I don't like that word, compulsory, do you? When someone tells me I have to send my child to school, and by so doing indicating that he can do a better job of educating my child than I can, my hackles rise, and I think many people feel that way. Murray N. Rothbard, one of the writers of the book, points out that compulsory schooling began in the modern world with the Protestant Reformation. Before the Reformation, instruction had been carried out privately in church schools and universities, in private schools, and in private guild schools for occupational training. But Martin Luther, in his famous letter to the German rulers in 1524, urged the establishment of public schools and compulsory attendance, and did so on the basis of a military analogy. He wrote, "Dear rulers, I maintain that the civil authorities are under obligation to compel the people to send their children to school. If the government can compel such citizens as are fit for military service to bear spear and rifle, to mount ramparts, and perform other material duties in time of war, how much more it has a right to compel the people to send